Hello, this is the last session, the part three of the accessibility and universal design talk. And we're coming to the point where we need to understand about universal design principles. In the Malaysian Person with Disabilities Act, we find that universal design principles are mentioned. So this would give us an understanding that compliance also mean universal design. However, the act is an administrative act. So once there is a much more powerful legislation in order, we would rely on the Uniform Building Bylaw 34A and the Malaysian Standard 1184, which also look into universal design. But as a designer, as someone who want to go beyond compliance, you might want to think about what are the universal design principles. And from 1994, we have Ron Mace from the University of North Carolina advocating these principles. And I would also think that we need to go beyond universal design as a designer to sensory design and conceptual design, which uses UD from the very start, rather than an adaptive approach or accessible design later on in the later stages of design. So if you're looking at universal design as the design and composition of an environment so that it can be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by all people, regardless of their age, size, ability, and disability. So we're looking at these principles, and these different principles have been used in UI UX design for smartphones, technology, and digital architecture. So why not in physical architecture? It is being introduced. And we're talking about architecture in terms of information technology when I say digital architecture, not in terms of physical architecture. So we have these 7 principles: equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive, perceptible information, tolerance for error, low physical effort, size and space for approach and use. I like to go through it fairly quickly and giving the um, designated meaning for each of the principles, such as equitable use. We're looking at a design that is useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities. And what we meant by that is to provide the same means of use for all users, identical wherever possible, and equivalent when not. Avoid segregating or stigmatizing end users, and provide for privacy, security, and safety, which should be equally available to all users, and make the design appealing to all users. So with equitable use, we have 2 examples here. This is very subtle and very nuanced. If you have a public transport system using buses, why can't everyone enter from the same way, which is the front of the bus? Here we have all the features that's necessary for someone to grab hold of something, and also a ramp so that people can access with a wheelchair. Why do persons with disabilities have to access from the middle of the bus? I've had the problem of being accused to not paying the bus driver when I entered from the middle, and that was in, I think, in France, because I can't speak the language, and people were looking at me with accusing eyes. So that's because I couldn't enter from the front. But of course, this is about a bus system, and it could be that it's quite impossible for the wheelchair user to get from the front. But this is subtle, and this is something to do with this principle, equitable use. On the right, you will see someone in a wheelchair who's able to reach all the things she needs to do to cook a dish. There's a stove there, preparation area, all the equipment is very accessible to her, the top part and the table and the lower parts as well. If we were to refer to the reachability diagram earlier with all the dimensions, that is what it is about. I'm going to skip the next one. Okay, no, this is the second one. Principle 2, flexibility in use. The design accommodates a wide range of individual preferences and abilities. So, for example, provide choice in methods of use, or accommodate right or left-handed access and use, or facilitate the user's accuracy and precision, provide adaptability to the user's pace. So we see here flexibility in use on the left, which is the facilities for left-handed people and right-handed people is available in the classroom seating, where they could use the place where they could rest their arms to write. On the right is a wheelchair that's adapted to the children growing up. Down below here, we have a cupboard that is suited for people to display the things in the cupboard, which is like things that they want to sell to people, because there is something like a drawer top that can be made into a table that can be taken out from the cupboard or the cabinet. And on the right, you have a trolley that is adapted, able to be used for persons in a wheelchair to do their shopping. This would be really something welcome for myself, because I like to do shopping and I can't really use my wheelchair to shop at many times. The third principle is simple and intuitive use. The use of the design is easy to understand regardless of the user's experience, knowledge, language skills, or current concentration level. We're targeting children here, for example. Easy to understand, and they're not that experienced and know exactly what to do. And you don't need high level of knowledge to use it. And it eliminates the need to use a language, and you don't have to be concentrating too long to use it. So simple and intuitive use is exactly what it is. Eliminate unnecessary complexity, be consistent with user expectations and intuition, accommodate a wide range of literacy and language skills, arrange information consistent with its importance, provide effective prompting and feedback during and after task completion. So we have here more definition of it from the Inspire User Experience by Jared Spool. A design is intuitive when people just know what to do, and they don't have to go through any training to get there. When a design is not intuitive, excuse me, our attention moves away from what we're trying to accomplish to how we can get the interface to accomplish what we want. It becomes complicated. So, you have buttons to press what goes up and down there easily, maybe even emboss, so that person who can't see could actually find the information there. For children, obviously, chairs and tables that are easily identifiable and simple and intuitive to use, and also push buttons. Excuse me. Perceptible information is principle number 4. The design communicates necessary information effectively to the user regardless of ambient condition or the user's sensory abilities. For example, use different modes, pictorial, verbal, tactile, for redundant presentation of essential information, or provide adequate contrast between essential information and its surrounding. maximize legibility of essential information, differentiate elements in ways that can be described. For example, make it easy to give instructions or directions. Provide compatibility with a variety of techniques or devices used by people with sensory limitations. I have here four examples. Just a simple color code contrast of pictograms using white with blue background, and also Braille letterings. And on the right is, well, when you talk about perceptible information, there's a lot for sensory disabled person, like blind person, like the tactile map that is embossed and raised, the, shall we say, the area and the letterings, so that people can orientate or navigate their way around by understanding the map first. You also have, before crossing a road, a warning tactile guide, so that people can detect it, that this is an information for them to be aware that they are crossing the road or change of levels to happen soon. On the right side is more pictograms to explain information how to board a bus in Singapore. Principle number 5 is tolerance for error. The design minimizes hazards and the adverse consequences of accidental or unintended actions. For example, arranging elements to minimize hazards and errors, most used, most accessible, and hazardous elements eliminated, isolated, or shielded. Okay. Provide warnings of hazards and errors, provide fail-safe features, and discourage unconscious action in tasks that require vigilance. I like to show you this example of seamless connectivity where the ramp from the inside of the building to the outside to the road is very gradual without much problems of being unsafe or slipping, and using the right surface material. On the right is some sort of a bathtub design where the carer to the child could be comfortable to assist the child. We also remembered the stramp design that is full of error and how we could accommodate that as in the right side to make it less dangerous. Now, principle number 6, low physical effort. The design can be used efficiently and comfortably and with a minimum of fatigue. The guide, for example, allow the user to maintain a neutral body position when they are doing or operating the design. Use reasonable operating forces. It's not that difficult to open them or close them and manipulate them. Minimize repetitive actions and minimize sustained physical effort. So it's basically, some of us have a lack of power or strength. So we need to have handles that are easy to open and push to open buttons and so on, and benches that will help us get up without having too much pain, or we can use our hands to assist ourselves get up, transfer from the seat to an upright position when we have those armrests, and sliding doors that can easily be opened for cupboards. Principle number 7, size and space for approach and use. We need appropriate size and space to be provided for approach, reach, manipulation, and use regardless of user's body size, posture, or mobility. So you need to provide a clear line of sight to important elements for any seated or standing user. Make reach to all components comfortable for any seated or standing user, accommodate variations in hand and grip size, provide adequate space for the use of assistive devices or personal assistance. So, like a turnstile at the transportation hub, they usually provide one for wheelchair users, which is wider, and shower stalls, enough space for someone to actually perform their shower, and access space to get into cars being provided. And so these are the principles of universal design, the 7 principles. And I'd like to also remind that for us, Zasve Universal Design, we also provide training programs, courses, accessibility audits, and universal design review. And in order for the person responsible for design or person who is helping disabled person and so on in a corporation, there is a need to do simulation exercises in some of the training courses. And we do give good instructions for you to actually understand the relationship between a human and the building. And some of these simulation exercises have been endorsed by United Nations, and we carry on to assist with them, either with wheelchair user simulation or blindness simulation, for example. We have training courses for specific professional roles, such as the contractor or the designer or the architect, in which we do mock-up of corridor spaces where they will discover themselves problem when they use the wheelchair, hence understanding why the design should be for example, 1.2 for an internal corridor. This is something which they came up themselves. So when we do also universal design review and appraisal with developers in order to get multi-generational objectives happen for sales and the idea of living lifetime homes, which could be adapt to the user's needs as time goes by. And of course, we have also done solutions for existing buildings and how to make it safer for elderly people to take showers and so on, and the design of the bathroom to accommodate them. And also we do accessibility audit processes to come up with reports and identifying the problems that a facility, a building, maybe office buildings, shopping malls, and so on. And we would come up with a report that have the information how to go about and upgrade their facilities to be top notch. So that is all for now, and I hope you find the part 1, 2, and 3 podcast episodes on accessibility and universal design informative for you. Thank you very much for listening and watching.